This trip is out to Boyagin Rock, just off the York Williams Road, about 80 k's from York, and if you're coming up from Williams it's about 70 k's. First place I stopped into is Boyagin, coming out of York, heading towards Beverley. It's a little camp spot, there's toilets, there's a few spots to stop and have a camp, barbecue, and there's a shelter there for a few people if you want to sit around and get together. Nice little spot. It's on the Avon River, and there is a walk bridge that goes out over the Avon River to have a look at. Well worth a visit when you're passing through, especially when there's been a bit of water down the river. On my XT250 I've got one mirror folded down just to stop blocking the vision of the camera, and that's the multi-hut there. Lots of little parking bays, very quiet and secluded. And a few locals use that as well. There's a park, little park for the kids there. As I say, a nice spot if you're travelling that way. On the way out along the York Williams Road there's some very interesting old farm buildings and things like that. This one was quite interesting with all the poles on the external rather than the internal. I think it's on the Avondale River just down the road. Most of the York Williams Road now is sealed. In the old days it was a dirt road, so it's a quick trip through, nice shortcut for a lot of people that are local. Who was that masked man? Just heading into the, turned off the York Williams into the Boyagin Reserve, Boyagin Rock Road. There's actually 4 sections to the park, or the reserve, and if you have a look on Google Earth you'll get a fair idea. This is along the edge, Cole Road, which takes you into a parking area. There's toilets there and barbecues. No camping's allowed here, but it's where most people go and stop if they're going to go for a walk through the bush up onto Boyagin Rock itself. There is a local farmer that does keep an eye on the area, so definitely I wouldn't be camping or lighting fires in this area. The groaning in the background is the bike, not me. And there's a nice little information bay up there as well. So if you're into a bit of nature, great place to spot and have a look around. I think there's a few numbats, possums and all sorts of stuff in there. The walk up to the top of the rock doesn't take that long, but it's well worth it, and it's got some fantastic views from up there. Just gone back down the road where I came in, and there's a few trails leading in, Falcon Road, etc. Again, most of it you'll find on Google Earth or Google Maps. If you want to do a little bit more extreme, if you go around the outside of the first reserve, Cole Road, there's some great little trails running around there. Some very interesting rock formations all the way through the park. You really wonder how some of those were formed. This is running along Cole Road. As I say, it runs around the exterior of the park, or the first part of it. If you come back during wildflower season, it's absolutely brilliant through here. It's all green, the wildflowers out, everlastings everywhere up in amongst the rocks. Watch out for roos if you're going through here. They appear from nowhere. On this trip I had 3 or 4 up ahead of me just crossing the track. The bike scares them out of the bush. If you see one, guaranteed there's 2 or 3 behind them. They back off Cole Road, back up into the centre of the park. From York and back, I did about 200 k's, and on the XT, that was about 6 litres of fuel. There are signs that tell you at the entrance of what times you can light a fire in the park. But the trails crisscross all through over the hills. It's quite interesting areas around there. Boulders everywhere. I'm more of an explorer rider myself rather than extreme riding, but I found places like this give a nice bit of challenge, and there's a real mix to the trails and tracks. You can hit little sand spots and some good hill climbs. There's a big dam up the top there. I actually camped over behind it in the trees. There's a very nice clear areas over there. Tons of firewood. A lot of people do camp here around the dam. You'll see a fireplace that people have put together with a few rocks. Don't camp too close to the dam because the native wildlife needs to get in there and drink. There was an old farm settlement up on the top of the hill. I'm not telling you where it is, you have to find it yourself. But quite interesting, very open area. I would say there was quite a substantial farm in here at some stage. Now, our original fireplace still stands. Quite amazing stonework in that. If you are camping out there, please be respectful, and whatever you take in, take out. Again, some more rock formations. They go for miles up around behind the main Boyagin Rock. It's worth getting off the bike and going for a walk. You'll find a lot of caves and things like that formed by the rocks naturally. Please don't camp in them. The kangaroos and wildlife use them as shelters. You really wonder how some of these things were formed. I've seen some photos of some giant split rocks up there, but I haven't come across them yet. They're absolutely massive. I wonder where I left it. This spot I've chosen here is just over behind the dam that you saw previously. don't stop watching. I have actually cut it down, so you're not going to watch me set up my whole camp. It's a black wolf tent that I've got there, weighs just over 1 kilo. Plenty of room inside. I store all my gear inside at night, and fairly quick and easy to set up. I use a 10 kilo or 10 litre dry bag, and it fits everything. My Cedar Summit mattress, which is the insulated one, which I actually slip inside my sleeping bag to stop it moving around. And then I have a little thermal blanket that also goes inside, so I'm not lying directly on the mattress. It adds an extra 3 or 4 degrees of comfort as well. And also a black wool sleeping bag. It's only rated to 3 degrees, but with that and the thermal blanket inside, it's fantastic. On the colder nights, I have a top quilt for a hammock that sometimes I do go hammock camping, and I take that with me as well. Thermal blanket. And the top quilts, you will see them on eBay. Brilliant. It only has a foot sort of box at the end, so you can roll it down or pop it up if it gets too hot at night. And as I say, the Black Wolf and the XT250. And it's time for some pre-dinner drinks. And now it's time for some after dinner drinks. Being a home brewer, I always take a little bit of rum and coke just in case it's a cold night, purely medicinal. And breakfast time, I like to cook on the fire where possible. Bacon and eggs, or this time I've got baked beans and mushroom, and then I put it into a rack. Quick and easy, no mess. If you are lighting a fire in these areas, make sure you clear it out, dig a bit of a hole and cover it over, make sure it's out before you leave. The end of another exciting adventure. As I say, there's some roads to suit everybody out there, but stick to the trails please, and be a little bit respectful of the bush. It's the idiots that will close these places down for guys like us to go around. These guys are just going way too fast, missing everything. Stop and smell the roses. And heading back into York's real historic town. You get the chance to drop in and have a look at the town as well. First inland established town in Western Australia. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you find it interesting. Plenty more to come.